What is going on, everybody? It is Big L here, bringing you our Week 5 battle for the WPF Season 8 of Gyarados League. You may be asking yourself, what happened to Week 4? Well, there was some issues with scheduling with Grubbins. We got an extension, and then there was just some problems. So we got the forfeit win that week. So we're set. We're technically sitting at 3-1 right now. Going into this week's matchup, which is against Coach T4U and the Boston Red Sawks. T4U always one of the better players, in the league. He's having a rough season so far this season, but his team, as you can see in front of you, super scary. And that is Mega Garchomp, Kartana, Galarian Weezing, Chansey, Keldeo, Moltres, Electros, Leavanny, Excelgor, Articuno, and Hoopa Unbound. So first impressions was, Garchomp is a huge threat. So is Kartana. So is Hoopa Unbound. Weezing and Chansey, two really, really good walls. Weezing obviously physically, Chansey specially. Articuno, another good special wall. Electros, really, really good Assault Vest user. It has no weaknesses. So, first impressions, I really thought Garchomp, Kartana, Chansey, and Hoopa would come. I definitely thought those four would come. I thought there was a good chance Excelgor could come. It outspeeds everything on my team. I thought Moltres could be a good bring. I thought Weezing could be a good bring. I thought Electros could be a good bring. The only things that I really didn't expect that much were Keldeo and Leavanny. But we're going to hop into the battle real quick. I'm going to jump over there and I'll get it sized up right, and we will see you guys there. And here we are. And just so you guys know, I decided I'm not going to do team builders anymore. Kind of getting constrained for time right now. Work's picking up, and my wife and I are buying a house, so we're getting ready to move in a little less than a month. So things are kind of hectic right now. So if the content feels kind of rushed, and I do want to keep uploading, but I just don't have the time to record Team Builder and record this and do everything. I'm going to leave a link to my paste in the description down below. So if you want to check out, if you're interested in what I brought, why I brought it, I will say items and stuff while we're playing. I'll go over items and stuff. But yeah, so hopping into the battle, let me resize this a little bit so it looks a little bit better. So that's a little better. So as you can see, he brought the Excelgor, Hoopa Unbound, Kartana, Chansey, Keldeo, and Moltres. We brought Pangoro, which is a Choice Scarf Pangoro, with enough speed to outspeed Kartana. It's another Scarf Noivern, with enough speed to outspeed a Scarf Kartana. We brought Araquanid, which is a more offensive set. It's max HP, but it's got a lot of offensive investment. It had enough special attack to be able to 2-hit KO a Galarian Weezing with Scald. Had enough defense to live I believe it had enough to live Adamant Life Orb Leaf Blade from Kartana. Tangela, fully physically defensive with Toxic, Giga Drain, Knockoff, and Synthesis. Deoxys has Teleport, Spikes, Recover, and I believe its last move. Teleport, Spikes. I don't remember what its last move was, honestly. And Yancey, which is fast enough to outspeed Kartana. It's got Rock Polish, Moonblast, Diamond Storm, and Psychic. And Psychic was there for the Galarian Weezing. At Team Preview, I was really, really bummed out that I didn't have Mystical Fire or Calm Mind. But looking at this, I thought, I'm just going to go ahead and lead Noivern. Unless he's Scarf on Excelgor, Noivern is faster than anything else on his team. So I'm going to go ahead and just lead the Noivern, as he does lead the Excelgor, which is kind of a bummer. And right now, I was really wishing I was Frisk, but I ended up going with Infiltrator this week just because I felt like he had so many good substitute threats. Mega Garchomp, it can substitute in Dragon Dance, not Dragon Dance, substitute Swords Dance. Kartana, same thing, sub Swords Dance. He could we sub Calm Mind on Hoopa. I just wanted to be able to hit things through the sub. And he has some good sub threats. So, but turn one, I was already regretting that I wasn't Frisk. It was literally a change I made last second. And I was really worried. And shout outs to TRT for helping me build this week. Normally, T4U helps me build a lot, and I kind of take little bits and pieces to TRT for help. But TRT really helped me out a lot this week, so huge shout outs to him. We thought about the Final Gambit set, and at this point I thought maybe he didn't have Final Gambit because he just clicked U-turn. And he got a crit, which tells me he didn't have much offensive investment. As he goes into Chansey, I should have just clicked U-turn here, but I thought, you know what, he may not expect the Scarf, and if he just stays in to go for a Spike or a Toxic Spike or something, I can essentially take up this Excelgor turn one, but he does go out to Chansey. Here, I have to go out into Deoxys, and he just teleports out into the Hoopa, and I have to really think about this play, because if it's a physical Hoopa, then I can't live a hit from it because I'm more specially defensive. But if it's special and I go out into Tangela, I can barely live a hit. That's what I decided to do. I don't want to risk this because I do think Spikes would be really good against him if I can get them up. So I just decided I'm going to go ahead and go out. Oh, my fourth move was Nightshade. Duh. I'm going to go out into Tangela just to see which one he is, and he is special. We live that. And here, I'm just like, okay, maybe I could tell from that damage that he wasn't Specs, which was really good. Obviously, he didn't take any damage, so he's not Life Orb. So I thought maybe Scarf, because he would have seen week 3, Little Hoopa, a Scarf Little Hoopa kind of wrecked me. It kind of single-handedly beat me that week. So I think maybe he's Scarf. And if he's Scarf into Dark Pulse, I know this can't really do anything to Pangoro. And if he's not Scarf, I can outspeed the following turn and go for a big close combat that has a chance to knock him out from full. So here, I switch in Pangoro on the Dark Pulse. It does very little. And now I get to hit something really hard with close combat as he goes out into Keldeo, and we do really good damage to that. And here, I didn't want to risk him being Scarfed. Even if he did go for a flip turn, I didn't want to risk him being Scarfed. Because, at -1 defense, a flip turn, even if he's modest, would still do a decent little amount to me. I really don't want to take that damage on Pangoro because I know Pangoro can come in and hit anything really hard. So I just go ahead and switch out into Araquanid. I know Araquanid is a really safe switch here. As he goes for the flip turn, and he goes out into the Kartana, which is another Pokemon that I'm like, wow, I don't really like this. He's pretty free to knock off here, but I can't risk going into Deancey because if he does go for Leaf Blade or Smart Strike, because Leaf Blade against the Araquanid is still pretty safe because it is a neutral hit. So I just decide, if he does go for anything else, I go into Tangela. And he goes for the knockoff, which is a bummer. But even without my Eviolite, I can still switch in on this. Leaf Blade and Secret Sword and Smart Strike don't do too much to Tangela. So here, I just decide I'm going to go ahead and go for a knockoff of my own as he goes into Moltres, which is a very fair play. I was kind of hoping he'd leave the Kartana in so I could know what it was, but it is what it is. We get burned, which isn't a big deal. I'm not really concerned about the damage I get from knockoff, so it is what it is. So here, I think again, I'm like, man, he's probably just going to U-turn, but I can't really stay in on this. So I go out into Noivern thinking if he does go for like a Hurricane or a Fire move, I can take it pretty easily. And he goes out into Chansey. And again, I predict him to just go ahead and teleport most likely. As I just U-turn out into Tangela thinking, I can get some Regenerator recovery off and see what maybe wants to go into. Maybe I can get a knockoff on something. And he goes for Stealth Rocks, which isn't really good for us. I don't have defog on anything. Didn't bring defog on Neuvern this week. Couldn't fit it on the set. I felt like I needed all my moves. But that's fine. Here, I probably should have gone for a knockoff. But I thought maybe he'd hard switch, predicting the knockoff because I'd already shown it. I didn't think he'd want to lose the Eviolite. So I thought maybe he'd hard switch instead of teleporting here. So I decided, you know what, maybe if I can get a Toxic off on this Moltres, that would be potentially coming in. That'd be really nice. So I just went for the Toxic, as he did just decide to teleport out, which is kind of unfortunate because obviously with Natural Cure, you know, I can't, it automatically heals the Toxic whenever it switches out. And he goes right out into Hoopa, which is kind of worst case scenario because I don't switch into it. If he goes for, you know, because he does get, you know, things like Focus Blast to hit the Pangoro because we know he's special. And even if he's special, a 0 attack Drain Punch into Pangoro would do just an absolute massive amount of damage. So I'm deciding, like, you know what is my least important member of my team at this point? And I decided that's Deoxys, honestly. As badly as I would really, really love to get Spikes up in this game, he didn't really bring the Mons that I thought he would bring. I really, really mainly brought Deoxys for mainly Special Chomp because I thought Special Chomp would be a pretty good bring against me this week. So I'm just like, sorry, Deoxys. I think it's time for you to go down. You don't have the most use here. And he pulls a double. He doubles out into Keldeo, and so that actually works out fantastic for me. And I feel like he had all the momentum at this point in the game, and I feel like this really, you know, got some momentum in our favor. So here I'm just like, he's probably just going to flip turn. I can go ahead and click teleport, let his flip turn go first, and then I can get the offensive initiative, which is exactly what happens. He flip turns out into the Moltres, and I teleport out, and I'm just like, you know what? I can go out into Deancey. I thought really hard about going for the Rock Polish here, but if he went into Kartana, I wanted to get some damage off, just to put it in closer to in range of maybe not being able to switch in on the Moonblast. It'd make it easier for a Rakuten to potentially deal with a Scald. And I just decided I'm going to Mega, and I'm going to go ahead and just Diamond Storm. And we knock out the Moltres. And Mavis gets her second KO of the season. So here he goes out into Kartana, which that tells me this thing is most definitely Scarf. Because if he's not Scarf and I have Mystical Fire, he just brings it into die here. So he's definitely Scarf. I'm free to just go out into Tangela, who has gotten very healthy. As he goes for the Smart Strike, and that does a lot of damage. Here, I think I'm just going to go ahead and go for a knockoff. Whatever he switches in, doesn't want to lose its item. So he goes into the Keldeo, which I get the Justified boost. That's fine, because we see that it's choice specs. So that means that it's special, so giving it a +1 attack boost isn't that big of a deal. And here, I kind of make a little bit of a misplay. I thought for sure, you know what, he's just going to go for a flip turn again. Just try to get the momentum back on his side. So I think I'm just going to stay in here and go for a Synthesis. But, because I knew I could take that. But he does just go ahead and go for the Air Slash, and I knock out Tangela. And then I was like, okay, that's not that big of a deal. I get to bring in Pangoro, and without Moltres in the game, I can bring in Pangoro, click Close Combat, and something just dies. So that's what I do. I bring in Pangoro, and I click Close Combat, and something dies. And that is Keldeo, and Pangoro picks up his first kill of the game. Pangoro is doing exactly what I wanted it to do. Coming in, clicking Close Combat, clicking Knockoff, clicking things like that, and just picking up KOs. I really loved Scarf Pangoro this game. He goes into Kartana. We know this thing is Scarf. So here, I go out into Deoxys. Like I said, it's my most expendable member. As he goes for the Leaf Blade, this was the turn I realized whenever he brought in Kartana why I shouldn't have let Tangela go down. Because with Rocks up, Neuvern has very, very limited switch-ins. And with Deoxys being a specially defensive Deoxys this week and not a physically defensive Deoxys, Leaf Blade is just free against me. I really shouldn't have let Tangela go down there. That was really, really silly on my part. But it is what it is. We have to play around that. So I basically just have to let Deoxys go down here. I think I clicked Spike here in case he made a mistake, but he didn't. He went ahead and got the Leaf Blade KO on Deoxys. And here I have to go Noivern. I have no choice. I have to go Noivern. And I can only switch in one more time. Here I make a good play out of him. Like, you know what? He doesn't let this go down. He has to have this. So I'm just going to go ahead and click U-turn, expecting the Chansey to come in. And that's what happens. And I'm just like, I'm going right into Pangoro. And I know that close combat on an Eviolite Chansey, it's a roll. It's heavily in my favor. I think the minimum I do is like 73%. But it's a roll that's heavily in my favor to KO with close combat. But I was like, you know what? I don't think he wants to let this go down. Even if I do get this play wrong and I knock off its Eviolite, then that means it's going to be easier for me to deal with other Pokemon, with other Mons. I don't think it's really going to be able to do anything to Pangoro. It might have Thunder Wave. But at this point, I was thinking it probably didn't. And then a knockoff. If you brought in Hoopa, and Hoopa didn't live 2 knockoffs. Excelgor had a chance, based on my count, depending on how much HP he had. Knockoff had a chance to KO, and I knew he wasn't going to bring the Kartana in, because Kartana being Scarfed is the only thing he has that can revenge this, other than the Excelgor. So I'm just like, I'm going to go ahead and go for a knockoff here. I felt like knockoff was my best play, and we get the call right. He goes into Excelgor, but we just missed the KO, which was kind of a bummer. I really wanted that KO, but I saw T4U's pace later. That thing was max HP, so we had a very little chance. We actually got a high-end roll. But we do knock off his Choice Scarf, so we know that Noivern is the fastest Pokemon in this game now, which is really, really nice. So here, I don't want to stay in case he does have the Bug Buzz, which I'm assuming he could have. He could also have Focus Blast, and I don't outspeed a non-Scarf Excelgor. So I'm just like, I'm going to go out into the Araquanid, see what he wants to go for, and he does reveal the Final Gambit, which was surprising. I thought if he had that, he would have just gone for it turn 1. But he goes out into the Kartana here, and here I make a really, really nice play. I thought about going for Scald just because of the damage. Just to get a little bit of Scald damage would do like 50-some% to this, but I'm like, you know what? I'm very, very limited on what I can do with Noivern. Noivern cannot switch in 2 more times. So I have to be able to either force it to stay in here or force it out so Pangoro can kill it the next time it comes in. So I'm like, I'm going to go for Sticky Webs. Because I know I can live a Leaf Blade. And I go for the Sticky Web, which means that if this thing switches out, the next time he comes in, he's not going to be faster than Pangoro. So he stays in. He goes for the Leaf Blade, claims the KO on Araquanid, which I'm really bummed out. I thought offensive Araquanid could have done some work this week. But it's okay. Here I go into Noivern, and he has a choice. He either has to hope I don't have Flamethrower, or switch out and know that he cannot switch in on Pangoro and be faster than it anymore. So, and he decides to just let it go down. I have Flamethrower. We get the KO on Kartana, and that thing is gone. That thing was the bane of my existence this week. And here, I thought really hard about maybe switching out, but close combat was a roll to KO, and I figured I'm just going to take the damage. I'm going to go ahead and Flamethrower and make it so close combat isn't a roll to KO. We go for the Flamethrower here, and we get a little bit of damage off as he just goes ahead and KOs the Noivern with Psychic. And here we bring in the boy Pangoro. He comes in again. We click close combat twice, and that is GG to T4U. Scarf Pangoro put in the finest amount of work for me this week. I'm so happy with that set. That was the first Pokemon I made for this build this week. I'm so glad I got to put in the work. We improved to 4-1 on the season, so we're having another strong start. Hopefully, we don't do the same thing we did last season, which is that whole have a really, really good start and then just kind of fall apart the second half of the season. Hopefully, we keep playing really well. T4U is a super good battler. He's just having a rough season. Just goes to show you how hard this league is. T4U is really, really good. But moving on to next week, we play Be Real, I believe, next week. Please, if you liked, go ahead and leave a like, leave a comment. I will have links down below in the description to all the other content creators in the WPF. Also, I made a transaction this week. I dropped Flareon and added Licky Licky. I just felt like if I didn't bring Flareon this week, I felt like Flareon had a pretty good matchup this week, honestly. But I just looked at it, I was like, if I don't bring Flareon this week, I really feel like I'm not going to bring it at all. So I didn't see the point in keeping it around. I felt like having a Cleric that I might use was more important than having a Firewater Grass Core. So I really wanted to use Flareon. I wanted to make it work, but it is what it is. I felt like Licky Licky's better. It does give me a fighting weakness, and in my division, adding a fighting weakness isn't exactly ideal since we have to deal with, Speed Boost Blaziken, Mega Gallade, and Urshifu Rapid. But it is what it is. But again, GG's T4U. I'll also have a link to my paste down below if anyone's interested, wants to check it out. But that'll do it for me today. Thank you guys so much for watching. I will catch you guys later. Have a good one.